Hey everyone, it's Vicky, and I'm actually in my basement. That's why it looks kind of weird and creepy behind me. But I'm in my basement because my sewing machine is down here, and while the baby's napping upstairs, I didn't want to make too much noise. So that's why it's kind of messy and kind of creepy back there, because this is our basement, and it's an unfinished basement, so that's why. But I wanted to share with you today a fun DIY project that I can't really take full credit for. Hank is actually moving the camera. I actually saw the idea on Pinterest, and I tried to go back to find the person who I originally had seen it so that I can link them below, and I couldn't. But if I do find them, I will add their blog post down below. This is just kind of my take on it. I got the idea from Pinterest and did it by myself, and what it is actually turning diaper boxes, which I have plenty of, into these really cute storage boxes. So I literally just took and saved my diaper boxes. I actually put them down here in the basement, and I have my sewing machine down here. This project doesn't require you to have a sewing machine. If you use fabric glue, it'll work just fine for you as well. I just had inherited a sewing machine, and I really want to use it because it's fun and I really like to use it, so that's why I opted to use the sewing machine. But I basically just take a diaper box, and then I went to Joann Fabrics and chose two different types, which these are kind of contrasting, the stripes with the polka dots, but I kind of like them. All you'll really need is a yard of each, so depending on how many diaper boxes you have and how many you want to do, I took 2 boxes, and so I got 2 yards of the fabric. So I have the polka dot fabric and then the stripe fabric. I got them at Joann Fabric. Joann Fabric usually has coupons and they can go towards the fabric, so I opted to do that. And I chose a little bit of a darker pattern. I know there's white in this, but the stripes, it's a little bit thicker and you can't see through it. The reason I say that is because usually the diaper box has a picture of a baby sleeping or a baby in the diapers, and I didn't want that showing through. So if you're choosing a thinner fabric, which this is a little bit on the thinner side, this one's a little bit thicker, you don't want that image to kind of be see-through so you can see that image. At least I didn't. And so that's why I went with a little bit of a darker pattern. I will probably do more for my daughter's bedroom and do more of like a pink brown theme maybe, or pink and gray, something of that nature. But these were just kind of a tester. I wanted to get an idea of how these would turn out, and I'm really happy. I think they're really cute, and I hope you guys think they're really cute. You can see in here I've just stored like my little pin cushion and pins, and then I put the material in here just so I can store these items down here. But I don't feel as bad about throwing away diaper boxes, and it just is so much easier. So that's all you need is a diaper box, some material, either fabric glue or your handy dandy sewing machine. There's very little sewing, honestly. All you do, the only sewing that really goes in is for this liner. That's all that you would require the sewing. I used a hot glue gun, but again, if you use the fabric glue, that will work fabulously. I hope you guys enjoy this DIY project. Please comment below, let me know if you've done it, or if you have come up with like your own scheme for like a color scheme. I'm always open to hearing about that as well. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye. Here is our diaper box. I have tons of these. This is the overnights, which I actually really like the Huggies overnights. I don't like Huggies normally, I like Loves, but totally beside the point. So I have tons of these, and I just store them in my basement until I have enough material to make these little storage bins. So first things first, we're gonna have to cut off all of these little flaps. So I just take a pair of scissors. You can tear it if you want. It doesn't have to be a perfectly clean edge, but you do want to get it so that when you put the material over, you don't have any jagged edges, especially if you're using a lighter material. I do recommend you use a material that is either darker or heavier so that the picture of the diaper doesn't show through. So if you have like white, and it's a thinner material, it's obviously going to show the picture through. So I try to go for a little bit of a darker pattern. It might not actually even be dark enough, and we'll see. I'll show you guys, and we'll kind of decide if it's dark enough or not. So I'm going to continue cutting the material or these flaps off, and I will be back. Okay, so I have my box on top of the material that I chose. I chose a polka dot pattern along with stripes. You can go with whatever you want. I will say that, again, you want to choose something a little bit darker so you can see that they're brown and white polka dots. It's a little bit of a darker fabric so that we don't see the image of the diaper box coming through the material. This is a lighter material. Joann Fabrics tends to have a lot of coupons, but the heavier material didn't happen to be on sale, so I just stuck with the lighter material. So what I am going to do with my box here in the center is I am going to measure out, if you've done those little tear or those blankets where you rip and you tie, those tie blankets I think they're called, this is kind of the same concept. So you have 4 corners on your material, and what I'm going to do is create a square from one end here and then another end here. So just to kind of show you, I'm going to create a little, I'm going to cut it. So I have to measure it. I have to measure from the end of the box to the end of the material to kind of make sure that our material is the same across. So I'm measuring across here, I'm at about 15 inches, and I'm going to want to go to the other side and make sure that it's about 15 inches on the other side as well. And it's not. So I'm going to try and push the box just a little bit. And so from one end of the box to the other, I'm now at 14, and on this end, I am at 14 as well. And then I'm going to want to do the same thing for over on this side. Is measure from the end to the end of same here, which I think I'm totally over that. This is almost at 19, so I'm going to move it over just a smidge. Now you can take pins. I'm a little lazy about this and I kind of eyeball it, but what you want to do is you're going to mark from the end of the box all the way down, and we're going to cut a little square out of here. And I think when I do it, you guys will know what I'm talking about. It just makes it easier to sew around and fit it. I have found this to be the easiest. So I have polka dots, so I just am going to follow the line of polka dots because I'm kind of lazy and don't feel like pinning it. But you can, of course, pin it. So it just kind of depends on you and how you, how much of a perfectionist you are. But just by eyeballing it, it's come out pretty gosh darn good. So that's one side. So just so you guys can see, I cut a square out of the material right here. So from the corner of the box, I measured out and just cut a square out. And I need to do that on all 4 sides. So just remove that square and it goes into your scrap fabric. Okay, so I am back. I've cut all of my squares, so I'm going to lift you to show you. You can see my basement ottoman, but you can see all of the squares are cut out, and so we're going to get to sewing around the box. Okay, so I've turned the material inside out, and I've picked up where one of the corners is. So you can see here's the corner. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to sew these up so that we can start closing this up. So you can see here is like a corner. It's inside out. And I'm just going to get it to where it's closed. And I'm going to sew it. Now, by no means am I a good sewer. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, honestly. I inherited this sewing machine from my mom. And, I mean, whatever, as long as I get it to sew. I'm not a pro. If you don't even have a sewing machine, you can still do this project with probably some fabric glue. So I, in no way, shape, or form, if you're a pro sewer, I apologize that you had to watch me do that. But, so I just wanted to sew one end, and then I'm going to continue to sew all the other corners. So I'm going to pick up this next corner here, and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to sew all 4 corners, and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like. So now what I've done is I've put the slip cover inside of the box. And then what I want to do is any extra fabric, I'm going to actually fold it and then pin it so that I know where to sew around so that it fits nicely around the box. So I'm just kind of going around at any extra material, so you can see there's extra material there, and that's how it would hang. And so I folded it around so that I know where to sew. So I'll pin it, and then I fit it inside to see how I want it to fit inside. That's why I slipped it back onto the box, because I want to know how it fits and how much I need to sew in. So either with a sewing machine or your glue gun, you're going to now sew the border around it so that it can slip over the box. So now I've sewn the ends so you can see that I've sewn them, and then I'm putting it back on the box just to make sure that they fit around so that I know how much is cuffed down. And then I'm going to glue the material onto the box so we hide this little picture here, and then we will be done, and I will show you that part next. So we're taking the lining off. Here's our diaper box. We're going to take our second piece of fabric. Piece of fabric, we have our measuring tape and scissors to cut. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue the fabric around the box. So we've already done our lining, we've done the center part of it, so we know it fits. And we just took that out, and now we're going to measure. I had gotten 2 yards of this fabric because I'm doing 2 boxes. And normally you would only need 1 yard of fabric. So now you can see I've cut any excess off, and I have the box in the center of it. And so now what I'm going to do is kind of measure around the box so that I can figure out where to cut. Now, the way that I want to measure it is I want to just put in a few inches into the box. It doesn't really matter because we're going to have the liner in here. So whatever you want, it's not really going to matter all that much. Just make sure that when you're in the center of the box that you've got enough material to go around. So that's mainly what I'm kind of looking for here. So see, we don't have enough on this end, so I'm going to want to maybe center the box just a little bit more so that I can get a little bit more material in there. So we can just tell that eyeballing it, we can tell that we've got enough material. So I know where the center of the box is. And that I didn't cut too much off. We're going to measure it, of course, to make sure that we've got enough. So what I do is I take my tape and I'm going to measure from the box to the end of the fabric. That's what I'm measuring. And it's roughly 12.5 inches. So I'm going to make sure that it's the same on this end. And we're a little bit off. So now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut a square of the material so that it will glue on appropriately, so we don't have any creases, so that we cover all of the external loves or whatever diaper box you have, and we want to cover that nicely. What I'm going to do is I actually have lines on the material. It's brown and white striped. So I can use those lines kind of as a reference of where to cut. If you don't, you can always pin it. I'm being a little lazy and I don't feel like pinning it, so I'm just going to cut following the stripes. And again, we measured so we know where our box is, and I'm just following the stripes, and I'm just going to cut. So I've removed a square of the material, so you can see I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. I'm going to grab my hot glue gun and just start gluing the flaps. You again want to make sure everything is measured so your box is in the center. Okay. So we're going to lift the flap and fold it in. Try and get it as straight as you can. You can use fabric glue also, which the fabric glue might not leave like the bumps underneath, but I didn't have any fabric glue on hand. So if you just use regular hot glue, that works as well. Okay. And I'm going to do that on the same side here. Okay, so here is our finished box. I've glued the 4 sides so you can see they're all glued. Inside, I just kind of glued the flaps down. There's some extra material, but it won't matter because we're going to put our liner inside. So, all glued, and here is our liner. So we're just going to line the box. And there you go. There is our finished product. So we have, and I decided to do polka dots and stripes. I just thought it was a really cute pattern to put together. And we have our little storage bin. So hope you guys enjoyed watching this. And it's pretty easy. You can store all your baby's things in here. You can do whatever you want. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon.